Hello, this is Dr. Tirrell, and I'll be your instructor for English 303 Reading and Writing Arguments this semester. So the purpose of this video is just to give you a brief overview of the course website, and we will be using it pretty frequently, particularly the calendar section, so you'll want to familiarize yourself with it thoroughly after watching this video. So you can see some consistent site features. We've got navigation up here, home syllabus, assignments, calendar, and grades. That's really the only components of the website we'll have throughout the semester. Also over here we have information about the course, where and when we meet, which for us is Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 in Morton 204. And then also contact info for me, excuse me, including my email address, my office, which is Morton 161, and my office hours, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 2 to 3. If that doesn't work, you can contact me by email and address questions that way, or to schedule an appointment. So this homepage, this will collect any relevant updates that you need to know. Usually in most semesters, there isn't anything beyond this welcome message. But occasionally there will be posts there. Things like if school closes because of weather, as you know, is possible, considering what we're going through right now in terms of the cold. That would be posted here. So any news updates would appear on this homepage, but generally it's very few. The syllabus we're not going to pour over right now. Do look through this in your own time. You will be signing a course contract in order to stay in the course. That indicates that you've read the policies, you understand them, and you're going to abide by them. I don't think there are any real curveballs in the policies, but you do want to make sure you're familiar with them just in case. Things like personal technology devices in class and late work and that kind of thing. We are on the plus-minus system in here. That's something to be aware of. And there is a breakdown of grade components here, and this is really all of them. There is no sort of a hidden component or participation or whatever. You can see we sort of have 4 major projects, although 2 of them in terms of grade weight are weighted more heavily than the other 2. We start essentially with 2 different analyses of arguments. A popular argument, so that's one that's not academic, so it doesn't have documented research, and it isn't in an academic publishing organ. And then, so we do a popular one and then an academic one, which is all those things I just mentioned. Really, that's how you kind of differentiate these two. Does it document research? Is it in an academic organ? Then it's academic. Otherwise, it's popular. But those are just sort of catch-all terms. You can see those are 25 points each. Within those, as we'll see a little bit later, basically 20 points is made up of the actual analysis itself, and then there's another 5 points for corresponding presentations. A couple of projects later in the semester, sort of the second half, we're actually producing arguments, and we'll talk about these, but they actually work in a pair. They work in tandem. So the first one where you're actually producing a prolonged academic argument, it's 60 points, and again, that's broken up into part of that is for the argument itself, and then part of it is for some additional component. Here it's an annotated bibliography. For the second one, it is a formal act of what's called dissoi logoi, or examining all of the potential arguments within a case. So those are the main projects, and you can see that's the bulk of the points there. Then we also have reading responses, basically due every day. Not every day, but almost every class meeting. We actually have 21 of them, I believe, but it's 20 points, so you can actually score, I think, 1 point over whatever that's going to do for you. And then engagement assignments. Those are small things we'll do in order to keep the course on track, making sure we're all on the same page, that kind of stuff. So it's like turning in drafts and those kinds of things, because we all have to do draft workshops, so we need everyone to participate. So that's there. It also lets you know the books you're going to need, and that's America Now, short readings from recent periodicals by @ONE, and The Shape of Reason, Argumentative Writing in College by Gage. It doesn't actually, I'll update this, it doesn't have the editions listed there. For the Shape of Reason there, it's the 4th edition. The cover looks like that. You don't have to get it from our bookstore, but this is the one you need. Make sure you get the right one because, like every textbook, there's a bunch of editions. Make sure to get the correct one, particularly because, like America Now, this one changes, I think, every year quite a bit because it collects periodical arguments. So it changes every year, I think it is. So you need those two correct editions, 4th edition for Shape of Reason, 12th edition for America Now. So make sure to get those. You don't have to get it from the bookstore. You can get it from Amazon. You can get it from a rental service. It doesn't matter to me, but you do need them really quickly, particularly Shape of Reason. America Now we use a little bit later, but you need the books essentially just right off the bat. So do look through those policies. As I mentioned, you'll sign a course contract to stipulate that you're familiar with them. The assignments page, this breaks down the things we just went over. These are fairly brief, though. It essentially says here exactly what I just said. Same is true with reading responses. The larger projects, I only post them as we go, and you can see the structure of them here. Breaks into an overview, the things we're actually going to submit, which in this case is an analysis, which is 20 points, and then a presentation, which is 5, so the whole thing is 25. And you can see how it sort of breaks down. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what you need to submit, and in these two parts, you can see the analysis is actually built into sections. These aren't separate things you submit. These are the sections of a approximately 1,200 word piece. Because this is an argument course, we're going to be examining rhetoric and rhetorical elements such as audience, context, and purpose, and then how things like strategies, medium, and arrangement suit the other 3. You can kind of see those two as working as units: audience, context, purpose, and then strategies, medium, and arrangement. Whether you're analyzing or doing production, these are essentially rhetorical elements that help us understand, the situation itself, and then, the choices that are being made in order to suit that situation. So we'll look at this more near the beginning of class, but that's essentially how the assignments page works there. The calendar, this is the thing we're going to be using more, or most. I think that's fair to say. The other, it's not like it's more important, but you only see the syllabus periodically. Assignments also, home, there are only occasional updates, if any. Calendar, you look at that all the time because it breaks down really everything we're doing from the first day to the last. Everything is on here already. And if you look at it, you can kind of see the tick-tock of how the class moves. Essentially, we're going to be going through the Shape of Reason first. It's a rhetoric. It points out different aspects of argument, getting into questions of logic versus what we could call other sources of evidence that aren't necessarily logical. I know that sounds odd. Shouldn't argument be logical? We'll talk about that, but the gist of it is, not we sort of tricked ourselves into believing that everything is logic, and of course it is not. And so it's valuable to actually look at where arguments originate, what they're using as their evidence, and how to use those things and identify those things productively. So we'll start with the Shape of Reason, go through that. This is a discussion and workshop heavy course, so you'll notice a lot of these are discussion. Mostly it's what I'm going to be doing, and that's why things like reading responses are important, because these prep for the next meeting's discussion. We'll look at that more closely here in a second. We'll be going through the Shape of Reason, our rhetoric first. We'll be doing our argument analyses there. You can kind of see we'll do our popular one and then our academic analysis. Then we'll move over to our reader, America Now. It essentially has 12 sections of periodical arguments. You'll see it when you get the book, if you don't already have it now. And they're collected into sort of thematic units. And you can see a lot of them pertain to exactly our milieu, right? Free speech on campus, the value of a college education. And this book actually is a few years old now. Or is it? Well, whatever. It's relevant, but you'll notice some of these issues, it's not ancient. It's like a couple years old, I think. Some of these issues you might say, well, this one's resolved. Maybe it is. Others you'll say, well, yeah, those are still really relevant. And you can see they're explicitly what we might call contentious or controversial or anything like that. Excuse me. So we'll be doing that as we work towards our own arguments. As I said, those two arguments will work as a paired unit, and we'll look at that more later in the semester when it comes up. You can see how the calendar functions here. We've got dates over here to the left, what's due on that day, and then the course agenda. So hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory. Within the first couple of weeks, you'll figure out precisely how this works, once you get some practical experience with it. I did want us to just quickly sort of look at, you can see on our first day we'll be doing the course introduction, but then the next meeting, the 11th there, Thursday, you'll be reading a chapter in the book, so you do need to get that immediately. You'll be completing the first reading response, which corresponds to that chapter. It's how these work. We'll go over this in class, but as it says, you'll be selecting one of these following prompts, not all of them. You can do all of them, but you're still just going to get the credit for the one. So select one of the following prompts pertaining to that first chapter and then respond in approximately 2 paragraphs. As I said, the point in doing this is priming discussion that we'll have in class. Now, when you fill these out, the good thing is it sort of forces you, if you don't put your name, see how this has a red asterisk next to it? Asterisk, excuse me. It won't let you submit, so you can't accidentally submit one without your name on it. You could accidentally submit something that was incomplete if you accidentally hit return. One of the many reasons why I really encourage people not to write into this directly, right? Once you pick your prompt here, I would not type into this directly for many reasons. One, you could accidentally submit it. 2, you could click submit and nothing could happen. It could just spin and spin and spin, or a blank page could come up and you wouldn't know if it went through and all your material is now lost. The power could blitz on your computer, as happens on campus basically every semester near the end of the semester. I do not suggest you do this. Don't type into the form directly. This is also just a rule of thumb for every form on the internet. If it's anything you want to save, if you're just writing an angry YouTube comment, do whatever you want. But if it's something you want to save, write in a separate program. That way you can save it. Which I really suggest you do, because we need these for class discussion. These are for priming class discussion, so I expect everyone to have access to what they've written. We're in a computer lab, so save a copy. I'm just telling you right now, save a copy, write it in a different program, save a copy before copying and pasting your answers over. Right? That way, if there's any sort of problem, it's no big deal. You can just do it again. You copy and paste it over, click submit, make sure it goes through. It'll tell you. It says thanks. Well, it says it's been recorded. It used to say thank you. I guess that more pleasant tone has been edited out. Anywho, that's how that works. So write this in a separate program, save a copy, because we are in a computer lab and I expect people to have access to what they've written, at least enough to be conversant in it, and then just copy and paste it over. We'll be doing those reading responses, basically everywhere you see chapter here. As I said, I think there's like 21 of them, around there at least. So you'll be doing that. You'll be watching this video, which you can check that off your list. And then you'll be signing the course contract here. Print that out and then sign it and bring it in. As I said, I need to have one of those from you in order to stay in the course. That's the gist of how things work. Everything else, like anything, this is going to make more sense in practice. Once we start getting into class and doing stuff, this will all make sense. But if you do have any questions at any point, feel free to contact me. In a course like this where we are doing writing, this is a writing intensive class. A lot of this is getting feedback from your peers and your instructor, and you can always talk to your instructor. That is not cheating. My job here is to help you. So if you have any questions at any point, you need assistance with something, if you're going to be out of class on a particular day, and you need to check with me about how do I make sure I get everything in so I don't lose credit or whatever. As long as we take care of it ahead of time, it's not a problem. Just let me know and we'll work it out. So my email's up there. My office hours are here. At any point you have a question or anything, just contact me, even before class begins. So that's the gist of it. The grades tab is the only other one up here. That'll take you to Blackboard login. Once you log in, it'll take you to our page. As I say on the page itself, we only use Blackboard for grade distribution. That's it. Here's the additions. So, don't expect any material to be here other than grades, because that's all that comes through here. Once the semester starts, this notice, it'll stay here, but it's just going to automatically bounce to the grades. This notice essentially recedes into the background. So that's the only other tab up there. Everything else is on our course website, which you can get to through the email I have now sent you. It is also linked there on the Blackboard page. So that's the calendar, the assignments page, the syllabus. Do read through the syllabus. If you have any questions about the policies therein, let me know. Yeah, go over that, because sometimes mistakes slip their way into the syllabi because, they're shared amongst different sections and that kind of thing. And then the home page, and that's the gist. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to contact me. Otherwise, I will see you in class. I'm looking forward to a challenging and rewarding semester. I will talk to you later. Bye.